Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, add another victim to Cashman's bullpen. That'll be Rafael Montero, the former Met, signing a one-year minor league deal with an invite to camp as Cashman continues to bring in some arms to this bullpen and should see audition to see who's going to get a spot there. I guess America's Got Talent or Bronx Got Talent. So we'll look at that. And the Yankees with some up and down news. Pitchers and catchers officially reported, but a little unfortunate news on the injury front with Cam Schlittler, not serious, but also on the other side, some positive news regarding Cole and Rendon possibly be able to throw in some games by the end of spring training, which would be probably a little ahead than maybe some of us thought, especially with Garrett Cole. So we'll kind of just check in with all that stuff. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to this podcast. Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast, wherever you get your favorite podcast. And there's also the YouTube version of the show. To go to YouTube, search for Section 420 Talkin Yankees, and subscribe to the channel there as well. So, we've been seeing this, for weeks and weeks and weeks. Cashman just bringing a lot of arms in here. Just, some guys off the waiver wise, and they're here a little bit, and they drop them. And some guys to minor league deals. Just taking around with the bullpen a little bit. Last spring it was Cookie Carrasco. At that point, obviously that's more for a starter there, but, it was decent in spring, made the team and had a couple of good starts. At least, gave you something there in April and part of May there, and then eventually he kind of fizzled out. So Cashman doing the same thing. This is more geared towards the bullpen. So this time it's Rafael Montero, the former Mets prospect. I think around 2015-16 was supposed to be the new arm of the future. Didn't exactly work out there. It's really first, you say, a full season as a starter. They kind of just gave him the ball and say, all right, put up or shut up. That was 2017. He started 18 games and had a bad record of, it wasn't a good Met team either, but 5-11 with an ERA of 5.52. Didn't play in the 2018 season, and then after that just bounced around all over the majors between Seattle, Texas, Houston, and then more recently last year, just to show you how much of a hot commodity he was, well, actually not a very hot commodity, bounced around with 3 teams, so was able to wear 3 uniforms last season, so it's quite impressive there. So if you want to take his numbers in total, that was with the Houston Astros, Atlanta Braves, and lastly the Detroit Tigers, posted a record of 1-2. Now again, this is across both the American and National League. Not that it makes that big of a difference, but nevertheless. But his strikeout stuff is pretty still decent. So 59 games, pitched 60 and 1/3 inning, 58 strikeouts. So still averaging about a strikeout per inning, which is okay. And walks not terrible, 37 walks in the 60 innings there. So it's it's about maybe 1 walk per 2 innings, which, it's okay. It's not terrible. ERA kind of high, 4.48, so almost getting there towards 5. That you don't like, but at least his swing and miss stuff, though, that's pretty still decent. 35 years old, so, not like over the hill or anything like that. Just turned 35 this past October, so he will be invited to camp and will compete for a spot there in the bullpen. And so, Yankees bringing a lot of arms in to see if somebody sticks, and maybe a veteran like him could find his way onto the team and be resourceful. And maybe only last 3 months. Who knows? You just don't know with some of these guys. But it seems like this is going to be an ongoing thing as Cashman tries to put this bullpen together. And we see him in the fast, finding the guys like the Jake Cousins of the world, stuff like that. Sometimes you find a guy out of nowhere and he proves to be serviceable. So we'll see how this goes for Montero. As for the Yankees, pitchers and catchers have officially reported on the 12th. Now, as Aaron Boone said on his interview with the Fan, which we covered here, that a lot of the players have already been down there for several weeks, in some cases even several months, working out already. So it's not really a big deal, but I guess now it's all official. And of course, Aaron Judge putting on a little bit of a batting practice show. He did face some live pitching. Actually, Luis Gil struck him out. But Yankees getting a little bit of annoying news. That's with Cam Schlittler. Looks like he has some back inflammation, which is just going to basically sideline him. They say just for a couple of days before he throws there. So doesn't seem anything major there. But Boone mentioned that actually Schlittler is actually quite ahead. Again, he's one of those players that's kind of been down there working out already, actually facing live hitters as well there. So this seems to be a bit of a temporary setback. So I won't go too crazy over it. But kind of just mentioned that we have all these pitches and only 5 spots. But again, things happen during spring. Guys get sore, first time you're thrown in. Obviously, these guys have their off-season workout programs, but still, it's just a little different. It's the real deal there, and you may tweak something and pull something, and it sidelines you for a bit there. So it doesn't sound like it's too serious. Cam Schlittler doesn't seem like he's concerned, nor does the Yankee manager seem concerned there. So at this point, it's a little blip in the screen. And of course, if you also saw the images, Garrett Cole just throwing on flat ground, sporting a beard. Remember, the Yankees lifted the facial hair requirements last year. Again, it's something the Yankees had for a long time under George George Steinbrenner. Obviously, this is all for Devin Williams to have his beard to come in here and just be lousy to start last season, but nevertheless, looks like the carried over. So we'll see if Cole rocks a beard. He just got one going now. But again, a little positive news that both Cole and Rendon reportedly might be able to throw Grapefruit League games, at least maybe towards the end of spring training, which would be obviously very good news for the Yankees. I mean, you figure maybe Rendon would kind of be on that pace anyway. I mean, his situation isn't as dire. Like, again, they were kind of targeting an April or May return time for Carlos Rendon there, but they say Cole could be anywhere from, almost just move everything over 1 month. He could be sometime to May to even up to June. Probably be more June because they've done this, Yankee fans, for quite a while. They always say, like, remember a couple years ago, Luis Severino, he'll only be half the season. He would come back to July. So, when they tell you these timelines, you kind of always take the worst one. So for Cole, looking like that's probably June, which kind of makes sense. Tommy John usually takes you out for about a full season, which was last year, and then about a half season after that, which would be kind of almost like about June, more or less. So again, if you had to project something, I would say Cole back for June. But if you could be starting some games in the spring training coming up there, again, that really that would be good news for the Yankees, because then after that, he can start ramping it up a little bit once the teams break, and he might stay and pitch for AAA for a couple of starts there until he kind of really gets geared up for the majors. So if that's the case, then good news for the Yankees. So this episode, pretty short and sweet. This is Rafael Montero, the latest arm Cashman bringing in here for an audition. Let's see if he wins the job. Catch you next time.